Oxidative stress, the hidden link between metabolic disorders and cancer. You can't see it. You can't feel it, at least not yet. But inside every single one of your cells, an invisible fire is quietly raging, influencing how you generate energy, repair your tissues, and protect your most vital blueprint, your DNA. Over time, left unchecked, this silent process can damage the very metabolic machinery that keeps you healthy, creating the perfect storm for one of the most feared diseases known to humanity, cancer. This isn't just a random accident, it's a cascade of predictable events, starting with a single spark. Oxidative stress, the spark of damage. At the heart of this process is something called oxidative stress. This happens when your cells are overrun by unstable molecules known as reactive oxygen species, or ROS for short. Now, ROS aren't inherently evil. They are natural byproducts of your metabolism, particularly from your cellular power plants, the mitochondria. They're like the exhaust fumes from a car engine, normal, but dangerous in high concentrations. When these ROS molecules dramatically outnumber your body's natural antioxidants, chaos ensues. Think of your antioxidants as cellular firefighters, constantly putting out small sparks. But when the sparks of ROS become a wildfire, they begin reacting with and damaging everything they touch: vital proteins, the fatty membranes of your cells, and most critically, your DNA. This DNA damage is the first critical spark that can ignite the long journey toward cancer. But before a full-blown fire can start, these sparks must first compromise the cell's internal machinery, beginning with your metabolism. Metabolic dysfunction, fueling the fire. The initial damage from ROS often targets the mitochondria themselves. This creates a devastating vicious cycle. Damaged mitochondria become inefficient, producing less energy and, ironically, spewing out even more ROS. This escalating oxidative stress quickly spills over, disrupting one of the body's most crucial signaling systems, insulin. As cells become resistant to insulin's message, the body responds by pumping out more, leading to chronically high insulin levels and systemic inflammation. Simultaneously, ROS attacks the fats in your cell membranes through a process called lipid peroxidation. This not only damages the cell structure but also creates harmful byproducts that act as inflammatory signals. In people with metabolic syndrome, hypertrophied, or swollen, fat cells become factories for these signals, releasing a flood of inflammatory molecules called cytokines. This creates a toxic, pro-inflammatory microenvironment throughout the body, the perfect fertile soil where cells with damaged DNA don't just survive, they are encouraged to thrive. Inflammation, the fertile ground. This is where the link becomes dangerously clear. The relentless stream of ROS directly activates a master switch for inflammation known as NFB. Once flipped on, NFKB orchestrates the release of a cascade of inflammatory cytokines. Under normal circumstances, this response helps you heal from an injury. But when it becomes chronic, it's like a construction crew that never stops working, constantly telling cells to divide and replace themselves. Every single time a cell divides, there is a small but real risk of a mistaken mutation occurring in its DNA. Chronic inflammation dramatically increases the frequency of this cellular turnover, essentially multiplying the opportunities for cancer-causing mutations to rise. The inflamed tissue itself becomes a nurturing environment for these newly mutated cells. The very growth signals and oxidants that flood the area act like fertilizer, helping these potential tumor cells to not only survive but to gain a foothold and begin their rogue proliferation. DNA under siege. While inflammation creates the right environment, ROS also launches a direct, multi-pronged assault on the DNA itself. One of its most common tactics is to modify a DNA base called guanine into a damaged version known as atoxyguanine. During DNA replication, this damaged base confuses the cellular machinery, causing it to mispair and lock in a permanent mutation. But the damage doesn't stop there. ROS can cause single and double-strand breaks in the DNA backbone, literally shattering the genetic code. It can create crosslinks that prevent DNA from being read properly and, perhaps most insidiously, it can trigger epigenetic changes. These are not mutations to the code itself, but chemical tags that attach to the DNA and act like switches, turning genes on or off. Oxidative stress can flip the off switch for critical tumor suppressor genes like p53, the guardian of the genome, while flipping the on switch for angiogenesis, the genes that drive cancerous growth. This widespread genetic and epigenetic chaos systematically dismantles the cell's natural anti-cancer defenses. Tumor initiation and growth with the cell's defenses crippled and its DNA mutated, ROS now actively empowers the cancer's growth. It activates powerful signaling pathways like PI3K, ACT and MAPK, which essentially tell the cancerous cell to divide, survive, and ignore signals to die. This gives the tumor its relentless drive for proliferation. As a tumor grows, it quickly outstrips its blood supply, creating a low oxygen state called hypoxia. This, combined with high ROS levels, stabilizes a protein called HIF-1 alpha. This protein then triggers the growth of new blood vessels, a process called angiogenesis, to feed the growing tumor. In a brilliant and sinister adaptation, cancer cells also learn to boost their own internal antioxidant systems. This allows them to tolerate the high ROS levels that would kill a normal cell, while still exploiting the ROS-driven growth signals for their own benefit. They effectively harness the fire for their own purposes, all while building a shield to protect themselves from it. This allows them to invade surrounding tissues and eventually metastasize, spreading throughout the body. Lifestyle and environmental triggers. The sources of this destructive oxidative stress are all around us, deeply embedded in modern life. Diets high in processed sugar and in healthy fats directly overload our mitochondria, forcing them to produce more ROS. Lifestyle choices like smoking and excessive alcohol consumption introduce a torrent of oxidants and DNA-damaging chemicals directly into the body. Chronic psychological stress raises cortisol levels, which pushes our metabolic pathways into an oxidative state. Environmental factors, from air pollution and pesticides to industrial toxins, introduce exogenous, or external, ROS that our bodies must fight. Even seemingly simple things like sleep deprivation and a sedentary lifestyle play a crucial role. They weaken our body's innate antioxidant defenses, leaving our cells more vulnerable to the relentless daily onslaught of oxidative damage. Nutraceutical defenders against cancer. Fortunately, science has shown that nature provides a powerful arsenal to fight back. Certain compounds found in food and plants, known as nutraceuticals, can intervene at multiple points in this destructive cascade. Curcumin, the active compound in turmeric, is a potent antioxidant that directly scavenges ROS and inhibits the pro-inflammatory and FB pathway. Resveratrol, found in grapes, improves mitochondrial health and can halt the cell cycle in cancer cells. Quercetin, abundant in onions and apples, acts as a brake on the PI3K, ACT pathway, slowing tumor proliferation. Sulforaphane from broccoli activates the NRF2 pathway, which ramps up the body's own powerful detoxification and antioxidant enzymes to protect DNA. EGCG from green tea reduces ROS and has been shown to inhibit angiogenesis, cutting off a tumor's blood supply. From the lycopene in tomatoes protecting DNA to the omega-3 fatty acids in fish reducing inflammation, these natural compounds offer a multi-targeted defense strategy. Breaking the cycle. The key to reducing your risk is to break the vicious cycle of oxidative stress, metabolic dysfunction, and inflammation. You can start today. First, get moving. Regular exercise improves mitochondrial health and boosts your body's natural antioxidant production. Second, adopt a plant-rich diet full of colorful fruits and vegetables to supply your body with the polyphenols and fibers it needs. Third, actively manage stress through practices like meditation or deep breathing to lower cortisol and reduce ROS. Fourth, prioritize sleep. This is when your body does its most important repair work, restoring antioxidant enzymes and fixing DNA damage. Fifth, consciously limit your exposure to toxins like tobacco smoke, excessive alcohol, processed foods, and pollution. And finally, consider targeted nutraceuticals like curcumin, sulforaphane, and omega-3 south to provide an extra layer of cellular protection. Protect your cells. Oxidative stress is not a destiny, it is a warning sign. It's a signal that the delicate balance within your cells is tipping toward damage. By understanding the deep connection between metabolic health, inflammation, and cancer, we gain the power to intervene. The path from a single spark of ROS to a full-blown tumor is a long one, with countless opportunities to change course. By protecting your DNA, supporting your mitochondria, and calming chronic inflammation, you can fundamentally reduce the spark that ignites cancer. Science provides the map, showing us exactly where the dangers lie, but it is our daily habits, what we eat, how we move, and how we live that guide us on the path to a healthier future, one protected cell at a time. If you found this information valuable, please like, subscribe, and share it with someone who needs to hear it. Tell us in the comments which of these cancer-fighting nutraceuticals you want us to explore in our next deep dive. Stay curious, stay healthy. This is PharmaconHealth, science for everyday living.